Hi everybody, this is Maxine English coming from Unlocking the Fearless You. Now my special guest has had a bit of a problem today because she's had a few technical difficulties when it comes to the computer. So we've got the one and only Brothers is in the house. I thought I'd, pin him down, try and get him on a live rather than running his rags off. It's all he's been doing all day. So I was like, right, pin him down, let's get him in here and let's get some information out of him. So Brad, how's things been going your end? Oh, hang on, he's having a choking fit at the moment. Let's give him a bit of time. Thanks, Susan, for coming on and starting to watch.
Give the old boy a second to adjust himself.
Hi, Greg. Thank you very much for coming in, my love. It's having a bit of a nightmare today with Tracy. She's just had so many technical difficulties that we said what we do is see if she can get on later on in the live. Other than that, what we do is postpone it for another day. But we're here. You've got me and Brad. I mean, that's absolutely amazing on its own. And, I know he might be a bit more chatty. Are you just as lively as what Tracy is?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's as we're just talking, I was outside and, you said Tracy's due on. We have these challenges, don't we? So I'm in between calls and literally got me in between calls. So it's really lovely to come on. Sorry, we've not got Tracy Schmidt, but I try and do as best as I can. So what do you want to know, Max?
Well, what I want to know about you, Brad, is you're putting on this empowerment weekend. You're bringing all these people together. What is the biggest thing that you would like to get out of this weekend?
For the people that's coming to the event, or myself?
People and yourself.
I think the biggest thing I'd like to see for the people that's coming is that they, really go through this experience of getting some amazing takeaway value that is real, insightful, entrepreneurial tips, advice, and guidance that can help them to develop themselves to become an even stronger, more talented, skillful, knowledgeable entrepreneur with the right attitude. But they can actually take that away and put it into their business to experience, high levels of profitable growth. That would really make me happy. And if people were talking about the event saying it's fantastic, then that would be gratifying, hugely gratifying, to be fair.
Keep talking. Tracy, it looks like things are
me personally, it's I was just trying to explain this to someone earlier that I spoke to. And, I didn't really speak about what had happened last October. I hadn't really, publicly aired it. I kept it private, what had happened. And, to be fair, I think that in business, we're all on different journeys and different stages of development and awareness and where our true power lies. And sometimes you can be really lucky. It's like baking it's like cooking an omelette or a pancake or a Yorkshire pudding. You can just get the flour, the egg and the water or the milk right, a little bit of butter, salt and pepper, and away you go and you get a perfect ingredient. And other times with your businesses, it's like baking a cake or, trying to fry and cook an omelette, that it can take some time to get those ingredients right. For me, it's taken some time to get those ingredients right because I wanted us together to build something that really could impact entrepreneurs, enabling them to come together so that we can empowered, move forward collectively. So for me personally, the more people that I can help, that I can connect with, that connect with me, and the ones I have a really, beautiful relationship with and I resonate, that means a lot to me because, equally on my journey of really pushing myself. Now you have to understand on a scale of 1 to 10 of that revometer, what I call the energy revometer, what we put in the business, I've blown the engine 4 times from that, that energy. And I've met some most beautiful people on that journey, but I've also met some people that are the nibblers, the shark nibblers and the dream killers. And you can't help that when you move your business forward. But I think, on reflection, the beautiful people, they're really going to come through at this event in London, the people that's really there, that's got the congruency, because many of them know that, putting this event on has really taken me to the limits of my personal, mental, physical and financial exhaustion. And I'm just pleased that, I didn't get bitter, I got better in the process. And I'm just looking forward to seeing smiling faces that are learning, that are collaborating and networking and sharing. And I'm not really an egotistical guy, but, it takes many people to say to me, Brady, to look what you've helped to create. And I think just looking at their smiling faces, look at the networking, that will give me such an internal fulfillment that I've got something right within that mixture, that pancake mixture, that ingredient to put on the right event. And the event won't be perfect. We'll make some challenges, some mistakes. We'll grow and learn from it and move on. But it's about stepping in to your greatness. It's about stepping out of your skin that holds you back in your business through fear or procrastination or through lack of self-belief. And it's a breaking down those limitations, just to realize that actually inside everybody there is a superhero. You have got a superpower. And when you get past the things that you don't know, you don't think you can learn, and you find a way to either acquire that skill and that knowledge, or to work with and collaborate with someone where you're transferring skills, you got yourself a business, you got yourself growth. And I just spoke to an amazing lady just now. I won't mention her name, but you know, I was talking to her about when I was a kid. You know, I watched Sesame Street, and this is quite appropriate as an analogy for business, because you know, I remember this so vividly as a youngster, and I was probably only 7 or 8 or something like that. I'm 48 years young now, right? But there was this tall puppet on there, and it had great big long arms, you know, it was this great big tall thing, and he couldn't bend his arms. And there's this really short one on there that had no arms to put up, and he couldn't reach. And the tree was a peach tree. And the tall guy's trying to pick the peaches, but he couldn't pick them up and put in his mouth because he couldn't bend his arms. And the little guy who had little arms couldn't pick the peaches, but he could pick the rotten ones off the floor. So when the long arm guy and the short one started realizing, well, if the long guy picks him and the short guy feeds him, they've got a team. So I think when you start to realize in your business that, and this is, you know, I've always known this, I've worked with teams of 500 people, but for me, being on this personal discovery of transformation, it's taken me some time to let go, because I wanted to relearn about myself. But now it's time for me and everybody to realize that, you know, we don't come in singular. We can come in a pair, we can come in 4, we can come in 6. And there are amazing people that can form amazing people within your teams, and together you can move forward. So there's also this thing about collaboration, which is powerful. And, you know, this lady, I just said to her, go and find yourself somebody that's really gifted and skilled on a word processor. And you've got this amazing skill to do what you do. Together, you know, you're going to be absolutely dynamite. Just don't be afraid. So I think there's so much skill and talent out there where people are held back. And I want people to come to the event that may have self-limiting beliefs, that may have doubts, that may have conditions, because guess what? We've all got them. And just find a partner, find a collaboration. You just never know what's going to happen with you and your business until you say, okay, I accept there's things I can and cannot do. I accept that we need each other to grow on this journey. And when you do, you know, you start to feel something inside. It's just an awakening. And that's what I see in people's eyes when they, like, I call it opening your eyes for the first time, and I see it in them, and it just turns me on, you know, to them. It turns me on to their emotions and their wavelength. And then I'm all in, mate. I'm Jerry Maguire, you know what I mean? You have me, hello, I'm all in. I'm in for the duration, mate. Once they're awake and they've got it, and it's like that. It's just like that eureka moment. They've got it and they're awake. And for me, that's the most powerful feeling any human can emotion you can experience being in business. And you never forget who you was with when you experienced it. You never forget the moment. You can almost smell and see the video when that happened to you and when you ignited. Whether you've had a business, lost a business, never been in business, that ignition, that powerful ignition inside, that empowerment is priceless.
So for things that you're doing, like for the empowerment weekend, what would you say has been like your biggest thing that you've had to go challenge with, that you've actually overcome while you've been going along with it? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I understand that question. That's that's quite a clever question, really, Maxine, isn't it? That one, because Maxine's quite cute. I think one of the biggest challenge is for me as Percy being, and perhaps you can resonate with this if you're watching. If you are, I really appreciate it and thank you. But it's knowing where your true purpose is. It's knowing that you want to make a difference and make a change, that you want to start a business. You're not quite sure where that business is going to go. And until you really can find your purpose and your why when you're truly going, you can't hone in on it with all your might, all your energy, all your time to make it really the personified skill and service that you have in your business that you're known for. And that's where so many of us, we jump about like jelly beans. Well, we're testing this and testing that, but we've not honed in on our core skill. You know, I know now that the business and life coaching accredited training course for Yes You Can Aspire to Achieve is going to be everything, because that's what I've been doing my whole life. That's why I've been in business. So I think when you hone in and you get your northern compass and you find where you're truly going to push forward on it, do that one thing, do it well, Do it until you're the expert, until everybody raves about you. Do it over and over and over again. Get better and better and better, and improve it until you are the best. You are the expert in that field, and people know it, and they come to you because of that expert status. Of course, so many people, will heckle you. I keep kicking my can, sorry. So many people will heckle you from the sidelines because they haven't got the courage to try and fail, to try to make a mistake. I've launched so many programs in the last 2 years where no one's bought anything, I can tell you. But I now know what works, what doesn't work. I can tell you what seminars attract people, what words don't. Recently I set up a global millionaire program. Now, I hate the word millionaire within a program. It should have been a global entrepreneur program, because that word millionaire, as soon as you see it, it's kind of egging. It's kind of fake. It's kind of false. It's kind of the bling with a Rolex and the watches. It's all that bling that people try to get you in. And I know it was wrong. And even a dear friend of mine, Viola Edwards, said, Bradley, that, the millionaire thing, it can really come across as in depth. I know that now, and I knew that already, but sometimes you've got to keep pushing forward, try new recipes and not be afraid. And coincidentally, talking about new recipes and not being afraid to try, last night I watched a film called Burnt, which features Bradley Cooper as a 2-star Michelin chef that cooked in a restaurant in Paris. He lost himself, completely blew everything up, come back to the UK to open actually in the Langham in London, where I was the other day with Andy Harrington. And it's called Adam Jones at the Langham. And eventually he got his 3rd Michelin star. But it was the process of going through to achieve that next star. And you could use the same thing as in business, like I'm a bronze star business experience, a silver star, a gold star. And the thing is, most people can't accept that they've got to start as a novice, because every expert was once a novice. So many people fear looking like a learner, that they don't want to start in business, or they want to lie to say they're an expert. Accept you're the learner, accept you're the bronze star. And like I said 2 years ago, look, I'm experienced in business. I got trading internationally and blah, blah, blah. But right now, like Will Smith felt, Men in Black, when Tommy Lee Jones opened up those doors, as of now, kid, your skills don't mean shit. And it's true, my skills didn't, because I was in a brand new arena, a brand new environment of empowerment. Yeah, I've been a corporate speaker for many, many years, but this was empowerment. It was like a whole new sweet shop. This was my Willy Wonka and the chocolate factory. And I said, I'm starting. I'm a beginner. So don't be afraid to be a beginner, because many people will fake it until they make it. And all that does is gives you bad attraction. We've all done it. Do your courses, do your steps, work on your journey. And like the Michelin chef does, start, frying your chips, then move on to, your next year, you're the sous chef and the prep chef, the salad chef, and then become the chef de coupe or whatever it's called. And then you go for your Michelin star, then you go for your 2nd Michelin star. Entrepreneurs continue to work on themselves and develop themselves all the time. And that's what I've done for the last 2 years. I've been back at school, and I loved it. I have, because boy, oh boy, I tell you, it's been my tsunami. It's been my rebirth. There's been sacrifices for my kids and for my family. There's been sacrifices to myself, self-harm to me. And, when you make a sacrifice in your life to grow your business, it's because you really want to, work hard and make sacrifices for a couple of years, because, doing the things that others won't, so you can live a life that others can't. And on reflection, I've really enjoyed the journey, but there's been some sacrifices I've made that's cost me dearly. I don't want other people to go through. And that's why I probably work so hard, so I can perhaps cushion some of that business growth. And they still got to pick up the stick. They got to go to work. They've got to pick up the shovel. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want them to have to go through exactly what I've been through, because I'm quite a nut job when it comes to, to growth and what have you. But now the people that we got, there's some amazing people around, and I'm loving that. The connections that's opened up is really beautiful, and I love that.
Okay, so just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ignoring Brad. I am listening to every word that he's saying. However, I've got Tracy on the line, and she's trying to get into the broadcast. Way! So she's saying that she's here, but she's trying to get everything sorted out so she can get on. So don't disappear. We are getting her on. It's just that
Tracy Schmidt is coming, everybody.
Yeah. So she's just sorting it all out at the moment. She's trying to get it onto her phone. Laptop's not going on, and yes, we're just sorting it all out as we speak.
This is amazing. So Maxine's trying to get her in. Do you want me to talk a bit about Tracy Schmidt, or do you want me to try and get her in?
No, you don't have to talk about Tracy Schmidt. What I'm going to do is we're going to talk about you for now, because I know that you always talk about the things that you talk about, but it's like people don't get to know the in-depth of you, because there's certain things that you don't talk about. But you know me, I like to push my luck just a little bit. So what I want to ask you while I'm doing this is, for all the things that you've gone through, all the adversity stuff that you've gone through with the event, and obviously what's coming up is a massive event, what would you say that what you've actually done, what you've actually put on, what you've achieved, what would you say was easier than what you thought it was going to be?
None of it. None of it. None of it. I'll tell you why, because, you know, I've organised events for many, many years, but I think if you understood the story about me and my love of Les Brown, and you knew that 2 years ago it was my video that I downloaded to my YouTube channel about Les Brown, and, you know, I listened to him every single day, and he became my hero, only to have the great privilege to have interviewed him in London in January last year and to met him personally, and then, you know, for him to have called me back to the hotel on the Sunday night. He rang me on my mobile. I said, Bradley, come back, and I want to endorse your books. I want to endorse your programs. You know, I want to help a man who's helped me. I worked for 4 months without pay to promote the Les Brown event in London. And he said, I've heard what you've done. And any man who does what he does for me, you know, I'm going to give you a free event and, you know, flights and accommodation only. And then I went ahead, you know, and at the time he started to get very, very busy. And then we booked the October the 5th and 6th. And actually, you know, it was agreed upon. But then I should have actually nailed down my physical contract. I had a witness contract. And what I've learned is, you know, you must do everything formally. It's very important to do so. And, you know, I don't hold any grudges against Les. I think it's an amazing man. I have to be accountable for me not doing it correctly. So let's just say that. But I think, you know, when you set out and you've got this ambition, intention on, and you start growing and then you get wounded quite fatally, what will happen is that people will judge you because they think they know the truth. People will judge you because they think you're letting them down. Now, there's a very, very big difference in business than maintaining your honor and your integrity and saying something that may upset or offend people that might be the truth that they may not believe or may not want to hear. So I think holding on to my integrity has been one of my biggest values, because you know the truth. A lot of people know the truth around me now. But I've never broadcast anything, but I am accountable for my actions and my decisions, but I know the truth. And my integrity is intact, although I got hurt and some of the things went against me. So then I had to suck my energy back up and I go again and put the event back on. And I think as an entrepreneur, I think it's dealing with these waves and these energies, being accountable for yourself, that if we can be strong, because for a while there, I was upset with Les, you know, but it wasn't my fault, I guess, you know, and I have to be accountable for that, because I have to look at myself and say, Bradley, but it's your decision. You took that action. You're accountable. And I think when you really turn the camera on yourself, you know, and you become accountable to yourself, you become stronger and more centered inside yourself. And I think nothing was easy that's been done. We're not there yet. I got stress coming out of every single hole. You know, financially, I'm stretched to the limits. Mentally, I'm emotionally and physically. It's gone. You know, it's gone to a level. But you know what? I'm thankful for everything that's happened, because if it wasn't for Althea Grant or Sabrina Ben Salmi, meeting her, it wasn't for going right back to when I published my book last American Day of Independence last year, the year before last, July the 4th. And I didn't meet Marina Nanny or Adam Strong. I wouldn't have met Sabrina. If I'd have met Sabrina, I wouldn't have met Althea Grant. If I'd have met Althea Grant, I wouldn't have met Les Brown. I would have been interviewed, but I would have interviewed Les Brown, and all these things that's happened. And now I'm sitting talking to these amazing people. So I'm thankful for that journey. I'm thankful for everything that's happened. And although there's been things that's painful, I'm just talking to camera while Maxine's talking with Tracy Schmidt. But you know, while Maxine's just trying to bring Tracy online, so I'll keep answering the question. But I think you know, there's moments where we're going to fall, because the bigger your grind, you know, the bigger your hustle. And the bigger your dream, the more you're going to reach to achieve that. And in doing so, the more you could hurt yourself. and entrepreneurs with big dreams can take some big steps, and it's knowing what step to take and when to take that step, and to make an evaluation of the risks of the steps you're taking. You know, are you going all in with everything you've got? You know, is there a risk? Is there a downside to that? You know, and I built £1 million plus businesses, international businesses, and I'm losing businesses from Far East crashes, from bad debt. You know, I can tell you some horror stories. In fact, you can get my book free right now at bradleychapman.com, you know, and you can get my book. Anyway, so I think I'm there on that question. You back with us?
Yes, I'm back with you. I've just spoken to Tracy. She's had a bit of a nightmare with the computer. However, she's trying to get it on her phone, but there's problems with it. She wants you to give her a quick call.
I'm on it. Maxine, keep talking.
I'm going to keep talking. I'm just going to cut you out so you can't be heard. So yeah, so you know, as I said, so right, Tracy's messaging me. What we've been doing is talking to Brad, going through some of the things that he's gone into and things that he's overcome and the challenges. Because when you actually do any kind of event, I mean, being an event organizer myself, you know, I've done it for many years, and obviously working under party stuff, or doing weddings and stuff like that. It's very much that people don't understand the amount of stuff that goes into it. And when you actually go into it, it's like there is so much information you've got to know. Oh, she's here. She's in the house. She's in the house. Hang on. She's I can see her on there, but I can't see. She's gone again. Okay, she'll give it another go. I can't even hear you, Brad. So I don't know whether anything's happened. Brad, we can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying. Oh, okay. So he's talking to her at the moment. Absolutely fabulous. So yeah, it's very much that, you know, when you do some kind of events planning, what you do is like we said before, you see the swan on top, and underneath, you know, it's very much there's loads of information.
I'm on mute.
I can hear you. You've just gone a little bit slow on the internet.
Maybe laugh before I was on mute. Yeah, I was on mute. Tracy's coming back in. She's found her way in, Angel.
Okay, cool beans. I did see her and I did bring her up, but she disappeared on me again.
Yeah, she's coming back in as we speak. Hey, Max,
Okay.
let me ask you a question. Do one-legged ducks swim in circles?
What kind of question is that, Brad?
Do bears poop in the woods?
No. They don't.
What's been your biggest challenge of this journey in the last few months? Your biggest fear that you've had to overcome? Because you're relentless and you're really ambitious, but in a lovely way. But there has been some learning mental barriers that we've broken down, right?
Absolutely. She's in the house.
Maxine Engli just got out of that question. Maxine is such a sneaky poo-poo. She's just got out of that question I asked her because
I got Maxine's back.
Tracy is on the line. I'm stepping back. Maxine's show. Hey Tracy, how you doing, girl?
I'm great, Bradley.
Get in there, princess.
I was in, and then you called me, and I'm like, oh, it cut me out.
Yeah. You know, we've got your sister.
Call me on Facebook Messenger right now, please.
That's all right.
Yeah. You know, Maxine said you were coming in, but I need to be quiet. It's Maxine's show.
Yeah. Do you want to stay in the show or do you want to go out the show?
Please.
All right, I'll just mute him then. It'd be easier.
There we go. It's amazing, Mr. Backup.
Exactly. Do you want to go? He wants to be cut off. Right. Okay. Well, say bye, brothers.
I got me caramel. I got some sweeties, you know, for the cinema. I'm breaking out the popcorn. I'm good to go. I think what Maxine is saying is, Brad, thanks for coming. Thanks for asking the questions, but see you later. Tracy Smith, you are unstoppable. Maxine English, what's good looking and hangs.
Bye. Gotcha.
What's good looking? Boom.
Yeah. See ya.
It could be you.
He does it to me. Yeah, he does it all the time. So I had to get him back, didn't I, really? So here you are. Yeah. We got here.
Goodness, Maxine English. And you and I were so fabulous at a drawing run.
I know. We done really well.
Sorted on my computer.
So you had loads of computer problems. We're fixed. You're on here. So let's get some information out of you while we've got you.
Love it.
So how you been, Sweet Pea?
I've been Fabulous. Riding a high since you and I had our evening hours of, entertainment together.
Yeah, we did. We spent a lot of time talking and, and going through a lot of stuff. And yeah, there was a lot of information went backwards and forwards, which was amazing.
It was. And I think a couple of plotting for Malibu as well.
Yeah. I mean, we were going to start bringing the drinks out, wasn't we?
Yeah. We were like, the ideas were flowing so much, but people don't believe us, right? Because they're like, well, there's a lot of funny chat here about good looking in Malibu.
Yeah.
Let's get some meat.
That's right.
That's part of it is love what you do and laugh while you work.
Absolutely. So let's get on it, shall we? Because we're now running half an hour behind, but it just means I've just got to keep you here longer. That's all.
Okay, no problem.
after the amount of conversation that we had previously, I don't think that's a worry, isn't it? Bradley's put, ha, I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easily. Well, you do it to me so often. It was about time I did it back.
So funny.
You've got to keep him in line, haven't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. They say behind every good man is a good woman. He'll do as he's told, he'll be fine.
Yes.
So here we are, girls' night. So this is your life. We're going to go through some information about you, what you do, who you are, what you've done, your previous things in life, and just getting to know a little bit about you, because so many people have heard about you and so many people have heard about what you do. But I thought, let's get into a little bit of nitty gritty and let's find out. So I know I've got some information here. You ready? So you're a winner in the 2017 Robert W. Jackson Award, which is the foundation of the Canadian Paralympics.
Yes.
Fantastic. 2017 Ontario Premier Awards.
Yes.
2017 CSASIL Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
2018 Women of Essence Global Award.
Woohoo.
Yeah. You've also been on CBC, City TV, Global News, NBC, Fox, and Inspired to Achieve Global TV.
Yes. Right.
And on top of that, you've been in magazine. So you've been in the Oprah magazine, which was, you've done a Quest for Gold World Cup sailor. You also climbed the Himalaya Mountains.
One or two.
Just one or two, yeah. You're captained a 110-foot tall ship and you won para skiing in bronze.
Yeah.
You're an award-winning leader in business and also in sports. You earned the #1 title of international speaker. You're an honoured humanitarian. You're an authority advocate, a decorated athlete, a best-selling author, Unstoppable You. And do you know what? I feel shattered just reading it.
Oh, you're so good to me. You've done your homework.
I did do my homework.
This is the book.
I know. Yay, there it is. That's what we like to see. So, lady, for all this that you've done, I'm just absolutely amazed. You are completely unstoppable. You are. So go on.
It's thanks to coaches like Maxine English right here, right? It's the fabulous Believe TV and believing in yourself, and coaches make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, it's a lot about belief, isn't it? It's a lot about, keeping positive, moving forward and everything else. So we've got a little bit about you, a little bit of background about you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it, go down bit by bit. And so everybody gets to know exactly what you do. So let's start with you, international humanitarian. So you were twice nominated for the Ontario Premier Award.
Yes.
And you're a volunteer for work all over the globe. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, so I've been a teacher of sorts in Jamaica and Uganda and Mexico and about 18 different countries, which is phenomenal. And it was bringing leadership, so often bringing leadership development and doing a lot of this facilitation that we do for corporations in realizing how to have generative conversations and when is authoritarian versus laissez-faire, laid-back leader make a difference, and doing this in these developing countries. And there's this idea that democratic leader is the best kind of leader, but there's a time and place for everything. If there's a fire, you definitely want somebody saying, get out. So there is a time and place for every single leadership style. And it was fabulous to go to these countries as a facilitator and bring this into classrooms. and really enjoyed doing that and working in Jamaica. So in Jamaica, one of the big lessons I got is sometimes, as facilitators or people with life experience, we walk into a space feeling like we've got this curriculum and we're excited and we're positive difference makers. But the reality is, in my world, I should have known better in their world, is nothing about us without us. Like, who knows what I need as a four-way amputee better than me?
Yourself. That's right.
And so
Absolutely.
there might be doctors and there might be physiotherapists, and they've all got fabulous experience that they can share with me, but no one is like me,
Yeah,
right? And so
absolutely.
it's a cooperative conversation. So I know when I was young in early 20s and excitedly walking into Jamaica, for example, and an enthusiastic teacher, and I walked into this space and I'm thinking, oh, it's recess and the kids can play. And I had an orange, and this child in Jamaica never ever had an orange. And so the next day I thought I was so smart. I showed up with a crate of mandarins to make a difference. And of course, they didn't know how to peel it. I'm like, holy cow, what do you mean? So here's me with my one finger, like peeling 30 oranges, 30 of these mandarins. And so it was recess time and the kids were playing, and I'm like, I was okay with that. It's what we do in Canada and in the United Kingdom is kids are allowed to run around and scream and play and sing and skip and do all the things that they do. But in Jamaica, they weren't allowed to do that. And all
Wow.
these teachers came out of other classrooms with these horrible, really hard brooms and started beating the kids.
Wow. Okay.
And it was,
So why? Why do they not allow that to happen?
well, because they were being unruly and running around. And these Jamaican teachers thought that these kids were taking advantage of me and not listening and thinking
Oh,
I didn't know better to keep strict rule. And so they were, in essence, these teachers were trying to make a point like, you behave for us and you behave for foreigner Tracy, right?
mm,
Whoever your teacher is, you behave. And so
yeah.
they thought I'd lost control and that I wasn't allowing that, because they just don't allow that level of unruliness. And the thing is, if they're not used to having that, it's not something that you've worked up to. Just like kids that are not used to sitting still in a circle with their hands in their lap the first day of kindergarten, to sit in a circle and listen to the teacher, right? They're so used to being one-on-one with mommy. But how do they sit quietly in a circle in kindergarten, right? You've got to allow for that learning curve for children to go from home to a classroom environment where you do need to sit and listen, and you need to put
Mm,
your hand up because you can't hear all 30 children answering at the same time, right? We it sounds really awful. What? My child can't speak? But there's 30 children speaking. You need some structure to create that. And so same in Jamaica, when there are 8 taxi drivers that have been killed outside the school door, and there's
okay.
gunmen. And so you can't have kids screaming and running around with a gunman who's got his finger on a loaded, ready to shoot trigger, right? You need the environment to be appropriate. And so I
Mm,
wasn't respectful or aware of the environment. I'm like, of course kids can play. It's recess and I'm peeling some oranges. Go for it,
mm,
right? And instead, these kids got beaten because of me not being sensitive to what were the ways of being. And then so you bring this into a corporate world, like say you're bringing in, when I worked in Mexico, all of the stoves had a grill top,
yeah.
because they like there's quesadillas and refried beans with everything. And refried beans means they throw the beans on the fryer and they refry them. Like every time, breakfast, lunch, dinner, there's always some refried beans with every meal. And so their stove, like to us, it seems like a big deal to get out the frying pan and it's a specialty meal. But their stove is designed with this grill in the middle that's different than our stoves. So if we came to try to sell our UK stove or our Canadian stove, it wouldn't be any good in Mexico. So in business, we wouldn't make a difference. We wouldn't have a product to sell. It's unique and it's different, but it isn't reflective of what they need based on their eating habits, for example.
Yeah.
And so this was it was a not-for-profit. It was a teaching role. It was, Jamaica self-help. I was bringing school supplies for teachers. But instead, my first day of school, I got all these kids beaten up. And I tried to block it and say it's my fault, but the teacher said they know better. They shouldn't have. And so it was a massive lesson in business and in life, that as an honored humanitarian, how many times I went in there thinking I knew something that I didn't. Nothing about us without us. And so you're always, as a coach, asking questions. And what is their need? And what is their gap? And what have you got going on right now? And what would you like it to look like? And so what's the gap? What's the difference between what you'd like it to look like and where it's at now? And so this is true for every person's life and every person's business. And even when you're trying to make a difference in a classroom in Jamaica. And so it was a really valuable lesson for me, that nothing about us without us. We are not there to be the expert. We're there to ask the right questions to help people distinguish the gaps that they want to fill for themselves.
Yeah, and I can completely understand where you're coming from, not on a major level like that, because I can only imagine how you would feel of actually being in that situation, and how you would have gone, that was my fault.
Yeah.
And actually blamed yourself, because it's like in your head you was like, I've just got them children beat. But to obviously where it comes down to, them, it's like, well, as they said, they should have known better, but they just thought, well, give it a go, we're allowed, kind of thing. But that's what kids do.
Yeah.
And it's very much that, it's just kids. And even though I said it's on a completely different level to you, it's like, I remember a time with myself that, I was a chef, and I had a school ring me up, and they turned around and said to me, like, we want to get rid of some of the cooks in the kitchen. Would you come in? I said, well, no, not really. I said, like, I'm chefing for this kind of money at the time, and I know how hard work it is. And they said, look, we'll even bring you up and make you the highest person you could possibly be, which is a senior catering manager in a school, which is the only one in the UK.
Wow.
And we'll make you into that just so you can take over from the people that are cooking. But when I went in there, it was like, I knew for a fact, if I imagine that someone's doing something for 10, 20 years, and all of a sudden I walk in, they go, right, this happens, that happens. It doesn't work that way. It's very much that I knew I had to stand back, and I said, right, I know you've been here 9 years. I know you've been here 23 years. I want to stand back this week, and I'm going to let you show me what you do. Because I'd never worked in a school before, so I didn't know exactly what was going on. So it was very much, I just knew that they wanted the kitchen changed, and they wanted me to do it. So it was like, I stood back, how they served everything up, how they what things they cooked, how they cooked it. And, I just literally just see, like you do in business, like you did obviously with your school, it's very much you stand back and you see what goes on. And then once I learned it, I said, right, this is what you should have done better. This is how we can make it better. This is how we can work it to move you forward in the kitchen. So it's exactly the same thing when it comes down to business, and when it comes down to obviously the school that you was at and doing your volunteering.
Yeah.
It's some people go in there bullying a china shop, and it doesn't always work. And if you're in a completely place that you're not used to, or you don't know, and you're not respectful of it, you just have to just stand back and just wait your turn.
Yes.
And I completely understand that 100%.
We sometimes we're excited to go in, and so it's so fabulous. And then they're not going to listen to us. Seek, Stephen Covey, seek first to understand before being understood. You stood back in that question to understand before making an attempt to be understood. They wouldn't have listened to you. There wouldn't have been any empathy if you hadn't put any time in them.
And that's the thing, and it comes down with so many different things in our life. Is the fact is that, sometimes it's like, even if, you've got all us, let's say, for argument's sake, let's just do a hypothetical with Brad's situation, and you've got us. It's each one of us have got something more than what you may think we have, or we've got something that you don't know we have until you step back and watch what we can do.
Yeah.
And then when that person steps back and goes, right, there you go, see what you can do, that's when the people underneath you flourish.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think sometimes, I'm not saying Brad in particular, I'm just saying in general, I think sometimes when you've got someone that, is up there, and you've got all these people around you, because you're so used to do this, and this is what needs to get done because I need to physically do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to stand back and go, right, how would it work without me here? I'm here as a sideline, like I did at the school. And it was very much, I'm here if you need me, if you get stuck, if I am literally in the same kitchen as you, but I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to lift a finger. I'm just going to see how you work with cutting that meat, how you work making that pizza, whatever it is. I want to know the deep depths thing of how you do something. Because if I don't know exactly what you can do, I can't help you progress and change what needs to be changed.
Yes.
And
But I think I would go even one deeper and do exactly as you did, but also ask, has anybody asked them? Has the soup kitchen always just been Siegel managing, directing?
Yeah.
Or have they done like you, observed, managed by walking around and seeing what feedback you can provide, and also asked,
Yeah.
what would you like to make it work differently? What do you suggest, having seen the rhythm? What do you think would be a more effective way for us to efficiently do our pizza?
That's right.
Or what are your suggestions? Like, has anybody gathered their input so that they are part of? And it might be what you said, let's cut left to right instead of right to left, whatever your feedback might have been.
Yeah.
But if they say it, if it comes from them, then it's their idea and they're invested in the idea. And if they show, if they see you care about their ideas as well, then they're going to be keen to share ideas together.
Exactly. And it makes it more of a two-way thing then.
Yeah.
And then basically what you're doing is that even if I know they were doing it wrong, I'd still let them do it wrong and then say, right, if I show you the way I do it, what do you think the difference is?
Yeah.
You know, and sit down and actually do that collaboration, because then what happens, they're then willing to listen to your ideas more. And then the other person actually sees what you can physically do. And by doing that, you've both then you work together like this. You work together like you should be working together, rather than me going in there and saying, well, actually, you should do this because I think it's going to be better. And the other person going, well, I've been doing this for so long and you're telling me my job.
And you've never been here. You've never watched us. How do you know?
Yeah. So that's the thing.
That's kind of like high performance. I saw you get ready to do decorated athlete.
Yeah.
And, you know, who you surround yourself with is who you become. And so if you're around the same people for this, doing the same old, you're going to get the same results. And, you know, I wanted to be a decorated athlete. I wanted to be a winning Paralympian.
Which you did. I mean, you're absolutely amazing.
Side, it was called, and it was Canadian. I didn't actually get to Rio in sailing, but I had this really big, lofty goal to get to Rio in sailing in a very short window of time. And so if I surrounded myself with really motivated Ontario people, like who I would have been an Ontario sailor. If I surrounded myself with Canadian sailors, it would have been a Canadian sailor. So I decided, okay, I'm going to surround myself with international sailors. And I said, okay, if I want to beat those Paralympians, then I need to surround myself with somebody who's doing better than Paralympians.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why they engaged you and brought you into that restaurant, because you were this gold star chef of sorts, like on different rankings and ways of being. They knew that you'd had a high performance way, a peak performance in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, who is peak performance in sailing that's even better than the Paralympians? Because I want to beat the Paralympians. So
you've got to be that high person. Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
absolutely.
trained with Olympians, right? I'm like, okay, I'm going to find myself a gold Olympian. How do I train with Olympians so that I could elevate and learn? And so I can't see those fancy kitchen chopping techniques for efficient pizza making if I don't ever have it role modeled. If my mom has always cut my pepperoni this way or my green peppers, I only know that way of cutting my green peppers.
That's right.
And so same in sailing. Like if I'm not surrounded by gold performer sailors, then my main sail is going to look like the other sailors in Canada. But what's a gold sailor's sail look like? And they shout at you. I remember going out and in, and I'm like, I am off. I am not training now. I am exhausted. I just did 100 tacks, and I'm sailing in, and I'm just going in. And they're shouting at you, get that boom bang on. And that taught me, like, a gold sailor always has perfect mainsail trim.
Yeah.
Right? They don't relax. There isn't an off time. It's always on. But it also taught me, right, get that boom bang in.
Right, in business.
I was too slack on my boom bang, which is a part of a boat. So in business, if you don't surround yourself with people that are effectively achieving better results, bigger sales, making a difference to more people, impacting others, having a larger following, like Maxine English, right, with her Be Live. So surround yourself with people that are really thriving and have a followership. What are they doing that's causing all of this engagement and interest and following? And so that's what we do in sailing, in a kitchen, as an athlete, as a decorated athlete, in skiing, right? It's who you surround yourself with is who you become. And it's not like just surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with positive people that are thriving and at a place where you're heading.
Yeah.
And if your ultimate goal is to be Maxine English, then you need to surround yourself with somebody that's doing even better than Maxine, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
But it's steps. So get there. And surround yourself with go-getters. Don't surround yourself with people that say, you worked hard enough today, love. You need to be taking a rest.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you take a rest because it's really easy to want to take a rest.
That's right. But the fact is when you want to be an entrepreneur, when you want to move forward, when you want to help people, whether you're doing it for money, whether you're doing it for your family, whether you're doing it, to help other people, there is no rest. I mean, I know when I go to bed at night, I don't sleep fantastically because my brain is going 24/7. I'm like, right, tomorrow I'm getting up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, person needs calling. My brain is always working. So a good night's rest, I know people say you need a good night's rest, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way. And it's very much like I call Bradley the Duracell bunny because he's just constant. He just doesn't stop. But I do have to say to him, sometimes you just need to stop for an hour. Just stop.
Just an hour.
Yep, just an hour, then you can get back on it. But yeah, and that's the thing. And it's very much that, you have to keep going. And I remember, when it comes down to the shop, and I used to come home, I used to finish the shop at, 5:30, 6 o'clock, sometimes on a Friday at 7. And you'd think that I'd go home, pick my daughter up, spend some time with her. No, that was time. Then I had to go to the warehouse, go and pick some stock up, then go and pick her up. She went straight to bed, and I then did all my figures and everything else in the evening, go to bed about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, up again at 6, and that's just one day. And that's just like, that doesn't include, the things you've got to do in the shop and the stock take you've got to do, which you to take 4 months. And, there is so much that goes on. Anything in business that you do there is just so much to it. And it's like never ending circle. When one finishes, something else starts. Yeah, it's a long, hard struggle. And people that say that, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to work for myself because it's so much easier.
Not sure where they got that idea from.
I know. You'd be surprised how many people say that.
But it is self-directed.
Yeah.
It is self-directed. And you feel the valuable contribution of knowing that you created that store that's creating these sales. And your daughter is learning a work ethic. Yeah. And you do build in your daughter time. It's just your daughter's not going to expect it on a Friday because Friday is stock night. Yeah. So it's not that you ignore your daughter. You just create those spaces where they learn there is daughter time and there is stock time. And that's when you blow up your sales in your store. And then you can buy your daughter her favorite Christmas gift because you put the effort in and the hours in. Yeah. And then you eventually get to a passive income stage, but you need to lay the foundation to get there. And it's really great about decorated athlete and athlete transferable and decorated entrepreneur that's gone all in to see what it takes, right? You hear these athletes and they don't have, I don't know if anybody's watching The Bachelorette right now, but The Bachelor right now is a virgin and it's like blowing up on TV. And I just heard this secondhand. And this guy's a football player. And so I can't imagine what that's doing for his reputation. But the thing is he's a famous football player. And so he probably wasn't drinking and partying and dating a ton when he was becoming from high school to famous football player.
That's right.
So
and that's the thing, you have to.
It makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have to give up things in your life so you can be that particular person. And people say, you're 22, 23, 24, and you're this famous football player. And it's very much that you're like, God, how the hell did you do that? And the other person's sitting there with like a bottle of vodka in their hand going, yeah, we just got drunk this weekend. And people just don't understand. It's like you don't have a social life. You don't have, all this time on your hands, and it is hard work. And some people, yeah, and this is why some people give up. And the fact is, you need to be unstoppable, Tracy, because it's the fact is, you've just got to keep going and going and going. It is literally relentless.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to say to ladies and gentlemen, for anybody that's actually listening to here today, because there's been quite a few comments in, if you do have a question for Tracy, put it on there, because at the end of the day, that's what Tracy's here for. Get to know her, exactly what she's all about.
Absolutely.
And so put your comments on there. I'll read them out and put them on the screen. So in the meanwhile, what we're going to do, Tracy, is being a dedicated athlete. I bet there's a lot of people out there that's going to ask this question, and if they don't, it's probably because I've got bigger shoulders than some. It's the fact is that you're a full weight amputee. So you've got, is it half an arm and then one full arm with one finger?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you've got no legs at all. Is that right? Or you've got...
Right. I think I can.
Oh, she's flashing us.
Flashing your legs.
Right down to the knees. Oh, okay.
In the car. So
Yeah.
So you can kind of. I don't exactly sure what I either showed you my Calvin Kleins, or I showed you my legs, one or the other. Hopefully it wasn't up the skirt. Hopefully it was just to the skirt.
No, you're absolutely fine. Any chance you can try and bring the camera down a little bit? I've got half your eyes in it.
Yep, let's try again. The steering wheel is...
That's it. That's perfect. Fabulous. So the question that some people will ask, how the hell do you do it, girl?
Yeah, right? What the heck? I feel like so lucky to have been born with a disability, because like you're a kid, right? And a little kid wants to eat those Cheerios or drink their bottle or do their thing. And so you're just, because I was born this way, and we don't know why, I'm too young. There was a drug called thalidomide. And so we don't know, I'm not that, I'm just a fluke. No one else at my mom didn't take any drugs that she confesses to. And there's no one else in my family that are missing their limbs. I was like a seed, and the flower grew, but my leaves didn't grow. My head grew.
Oh, that's a beautiful way of putting that.
It's how I kind of describe it to little kids. That my flower grew. I'm still a flower, but my leaves are a little bit bare. I'm kind of like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
Oh, bless. That's a really lovely way to say it, though, especially for children, for them to understand that. I mean, that is lovely. So I
just want to grab that bottle, right? Like I just want to. Let's hope I have my water bottle in the car, but I just want to grab this book.
Yeah.
And so, but this simple little spatula helps me grab this book.
Oh,
which is nice, and I'm trying to see. Yeah, here's my water bottle. So if I was a kid, and who knew? So I like to do isogenics, and I had a chocolate shake, as you can see, for my lunch. And so who knew that this was going to be such a great container? People give me water containers all the time, but it's harder to hold the width of it. Right?
Yeah.
To get around the width of it. You see, I'm using my face to hold it.
Yeah.
But that works. My chin and my hand works. You just work around it. But now that there's like this flap, it's perfect. And then you think, oh, what do you do when it's open? Well, now I can hold the flap, and I can drink my shake. Yeah. So it's okay. But and I'm not just one finger, right? Like you just need opposition. You just need two things. So I'm just holding the bottle to do my thing. And so babies just want to get to their bottle, or they just want to get to that cookie. I'm kind of hungry. I want to get to my cookie. Yeah. Let's see if I have my cookie here without being out of camera too long. There we go. And so you can open it with two hands, or you got a mouth.
Yeah.
I didn't mean this to be a big demonstration, but that's what
I love it.
And so here you go. And now, I got crumbs on my dress, but I can hold my cookie.
Yeah.
Right? And I can eat my cookie too.
She's got teeth, that's fine.
Mouthful. Very cheeky.
That's all right, that's fine. It's halfway through the day for you since you're over in Canada, so we'd accept that's lunch.
So when we go sailing, like when I started sailing, for example, no arms, no legs, or no hands, no legs, because my fake legs sink. So I end up drowning if I swim with them. So I swim. I'm trying to talk and eat a cookie with my legs on, with my legs off.
Yeah.
But I was very heavy because there's no weight with no legs. And so I would fall out of the boat a lot. if the wind would come and it would heal, and then my balance would be off and I would fall out with no legs on.
So what did you do to that one then? How did you work that one out?
Well, what do you do when you fall out of a boat?
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best? Yeah. I love that. See, Maxine English, you say hope for the best.
Yeah.
Some people say cry. Some people say drown.
No, you don't drown.
Hope for the best.
Yeah.
And
you just got to keep going and just try and get there.
Yeah, you just get back in the boat. You just
Absolutely.
get back in the boat. And you keep falling out of the boat. And you just climb back in the boat. And what I learned as an athlete that works for me in business too, and as a four-way amputee, right, as a little girl, they say in business, disrupt the norm. Well, the way I hold that water bottle, I'm disrupting the norm, right? And so this is my way. Every time I eat a cookie, I'm not going to take a bite because now my mouth will be full again. But the way I hold and eat my cookie, the way I drive, everything, I'm disrupting the norm.
Yeah.
And so it's great because as a little kid, I just want to play with the other kids. So you do whatever it takes. And so they're on that lawn and I'm on this lawn. So I don't have my legs on. I have to physically roll down the lawn, steal, borrow a skateboard that's at the bottom of my lawn, skateboard over, and then body roll up their lawn. That's where they are. I just want to play, right?
Yeah.
So you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But once you learn, what do you do when you fall out of the boat? You do whatever it takes. But I was lucky enough to be born a four-way amputee. And my baby way of being was not a hero, was just do whatever it takes to get that bottle or to play that game, right? Yeah. It wasn't a hero. I was just doing it whatever it took. And it taught me some great bonus skills. I like to say that I'm limitless. And I'm limitless, and I spell limitless with a B, L-I-M-B, lim-itless. And so I was lucky enough to be born lim-itless. And yeah. I am limitless. And so I invite all of you to be limitless, to just do whatever it takes. Anything's possible. You just have to keep climbing back in the boat until you figure out how to balance. And so that first summer, I failed. I didn't get my sailing level. And all of the other children, they all got their sailing level. And all these kids, they're able-bodied. And they were saying to me, Tracy, no arms, no legs, and you're falling out of the boat. Maybe sailing's not for you. It's no problem if you don't come back next summer. And I'm like, I'm going to sail. Like I knew.
Don't tell me I can't do something.
I was going to sail. I didn't know how. I didn't know when, but I knew. I was naive enough to believe I am going to sail. Thank you for that lovely indomitable spirit comment, Janet. And so I went back the next summer. And I started to learn that when the dark patch on the water, which means there's wind. So if there was if I had my head out of the boat looking ahead and I could see the dark patch of water, I could see wind was coming. I learned, okay, I got to balance because there's wind coming. And so now I'm going to tip and now I'm going to fall out of the boat unless I prep for it. And in life, it's like that too. Sometimes our heads are so inside ourselves and inside our own boat. And inside our own house and inside our own business, we don't get our head and our eyes out and looking around us. Oh, there's wind coming. There's change coming. There's a different business coming. The competition is thinking of this. And we don't look at, oh, that's a great sailor and they are thriving over there. Maybe we should be over there, right? And I learned to get my head out of the boat, and it turned me into a World Cup sailor. I got my white sail level 1 the second summer because I learned how to balance in the boat. I got my white sail level 2, like all the other kids, I caught up. But all the kids stopped at white sail level 2. And I got my white sail level 3 and my bronze 4 because bronze 4 was all about balancing in the boat when the wind comes and trapezing. Well, I had to do that in order to be able to get my white sail level 1, right? I had to learn how to balance in the boat and read the wind. And so it forced me, it gave me a bonus. So I failed the first summer, but I got 4 sailing levels the second summer. And I was blessed. How lucky am I that I failed the first summer? Because it forced me to learn these really great advanced skills really quickly. Absolutely. And so now and that's in business, you want speed of implementation. You want to implement great ideas quickly and learn quickly. and quicker than others if you're trying to thrive as a decorated athlete, right? And so I'm so lucky to have no arms and legs because it taught me if I'm going to stick around, they're going to try to kick me out. And it takes me longer to learn things. So I have to learn, like balancing in a boat, I have to learn how to do things to play and to participate. And I got to go through that learning that's longer and harder, but faster so that I keep up with everybody. And the bonus was, here I am, World Cup sailor, sailing against able-bodied men. 27 men with arms and legs with no disability and 3 women.
Exactly. And then you're exactly saying what you were saying. It's like, you know, for what you did there is absolutely amazing. And it's exactly like when you said about it's exactly the same as when you're in business.
Yeah.
You know, if you feel that you're behind on a certain thing, whether like with me, I'm dyslexic, or whether you find that you're not very mathematical, or you find that there's something wrong up there that you can't quite grasp certain things, or whatever it is.
Left-brainer versus right-brainer.
Yeah. All these different
Introvert
things.
versus extrovert.
Absolutely. You know, and all these things that are going on in your own brain, in your mind, in your body, you know, you just have to work that little bit harder. I just call it your USP. You know, that's your
It is
USP.
totally your unique selling. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. And the thing is, it's like, you know, by having that, people get to know who you are, what you do, and the reasons why. And the fact is that, you know, when you turn around and say, you know, you're so glad that you was born like it, you know, and you do get some people that are actually like, I've got a cousin, okay, and my cousin she was 35, she had a stroke, she also had Crohn's disease, and yeah, and she got a little bit of brain damage, and now over the last couple of years, I mean, she's just turned 50, she's had both her legs amputated, she's had her arm completely amputated, and she's got one arm left, but it's not so strong because obviously the stroke.
Yeah.
So, but she's been laying in bed now for a year and a half, and she's done nothing. She's not even moved, and she's scared to sit up, and she's scared to move forward because it hurts. You know, the things that she's doing. So, to see you do what you do, and I see her, I go to her and I try and give her positive talking, and I can't see her every single day. But if you've got someone that's been able-bodied all their life, and well, I've got to say able-bodied, but I don't mean you're not, but in the respect of, you know, that have had all their limbs all their life, and all of a sudden something's happened.
Yeah.
And they go into that state of distress or depression or whatever, what would you say to them people to actually get them out of that?
You know, so I wouldn't start here with
Yeah.
your cousin, for example.
Mm.
But what I would say to everybody listening, and that's pretty extreme. She has a
Yeah,
stroke,
it,
she's super young,
yeah,
and amputation of 3 limbs. Like, that's pretty extraordinary.
it is.
So what I would say to everybody listening, including your cousin eventually, and that's very kind of you to share vulnerably this story of your family member, but I would say a good excuse is the worst thing in the world. When you have a really good excuse, it does limit you. Right? Your cousin has every right in the world. None of us, including me, who's a 4-way amputee, would blame her for being in that bed for a year. And that's the worst thing in the world, because it's almost saying it's okay, and it is okay. She has a good excuse. But the worst thing in the world is a good excuse because it prevents us from being limitless. A good excuse gives us a good reason to be limited. And you have every right to be limited. A ship in the harbor is safe. Nothing's going to happen to the sail. You're not going to damage the beautiful finished coat. You're not going to ruin any of the lines or the shackles. But that's not what a ship is made for. That's not what a boat is. It's meant to go and sail. And that's not what we are made for in this life. We're not made to be in our bed. We are meant to get out there and sail through our life, whatever definition that might be for us.
Yeah.
And so the worst thing in the world is having a good excuse. And so that's one of the conversations that I get to is that I wouldn't blame. And you see me giving sympathy to you, and you're, oh my gosh, holy cow, you're kidding. A stroke at 35? What? Her legs too? What? Her arm too? Like, come on. It's a plenty good excuse. No one would judge her for never leaving that bed. We would feel for her. We'd give her empathy. We'd try to be positive. We'd want more for her, but we would never judge her for not leaving that bed. That's why. Not losing her limbs. That's not the worst thing in the world. The worst thing in the world is the good excuse that then gives us all the empathy and limits us from our full possibility of more, and our full range of motion, and our full strength, and the full difference that we could be making. That's another reason I'm so glad to be a four-way amputee, because I'm lucky to get that and see that possibility. And I know, I feel every day all sorts of empathy. And in fact, my biggest obstacle to overcome is others' empathy. People that like, well, you got to be careful, Tracy. And well, you're falling out of a boat, Tracy. Oh, now you're older, Tracy, right? Like, you can't do what you did when you were younger. Right? I climbed the Himalayas of Nepal, and didn't work with my legs. I had a good excuse to not finish climbing, but we didn't. We left my legs in Kathmandu, and we tried again. Who needed legs? The people with legs up, maybe legs, but the best way to do it was no legs. The best way to do it was on my knees. It was easier to do with my knees and my arms, right? On my elbows and on my knees. My sort of knees, my stumps. It's like,
I know what you mean.
And so, but I did that when I was much younger, much younger, 91. I did that.
So only a couple of years then.
Right, just a couple years.
Yeah, just a couple of years.
So in November of 2018, I'm outside this building at Yonge and Bloor, big high-rise, major business intersection, and they'd set up a drop zone with a high ropes course from this 25-story building. And I'm like, I'm sick of people saying, well, yeah, you did that when you were young. So in November of 2018, just a couple months ago, I approached the table and I'm like, Tracy, I'm unstoppable. Tracy, I want to do the drop zone. I'd like to jump off that 25-story building. And this was Monday, and I had no idea Monday morning I was going to do this.
I watched you actually do that one, and that was amazing.
Yeah. And did you watch? Were you one of the people watching?
Yeah, and you was like, and you got down on the floor, and you was like, right, okay, and you just wandering over, and I was like, amazing, absolutely amazing.
I love that you were there.
You know, it was just like this skyscraper. You've just come down. It's like, wow.
And it was like, there was like, and then they all left me, right? I'm just sitting there, and the camera's still running. It's so funny. I'm like, okay. But you saw that it was like a 2-3 hour process, not just getting down the building. But when I started the conversation, they said, oh, no, right? They see no arms, no legs, right? No hands. We're not, and you weren't planning on this. There's no like big long-term plan, organizational chart about this with 1,000 people that catch me if I fall, right? They're like, oh, no. But I was an Outward Bound instructor. I had done the Himalayas. I had done recreation and leisure studies. I had some skills with ropes. Yeah. I knew what I was doing.
Absolutely.
But that didn't convert them. They still said, I don't think so. And I said, so you're doing this as a fundraiser. I said, you're doing this to be diverse. And you have all these men in suits rappelling this 25-story building. I said, you're raising money for children with disabilities. And I was a child with a disability.
Oh, we've lost Tracy. She's obviously gone through the satellite's obviously gone the different way, but she'll be back in a second. So while she's coming back, I just want to say to you that I've got Tracy Smith, and she's absolutely an amazing lady. I had to bring her on the broadcast. She's back again. She's here.
Hello. Thank you for that lovely words, Maxine.
That's all right. So we've got Tracy Smith on the line, and what we do is we're broadcasting to ask all about Tracy and what she's about and what she does. And I had to bring her on the broadcast because she's an amazing lady. We had a good conversation for a couple of hours last week. We did, and we spent all evening chatting, and it was really lovely. And I just had to get on the broadcast. So we'll go back to what we was talking about just now. So you was talking about you being a a dedicated athlete. You've climbed the Himalayas, you've done sailing, you've learned so much when it comes down to balance, and whether that is obviously in the boat, or whether that is to do with business, because it's all about balance in life. It's all about moving forward, and you learning by your mistakes and knowing that you have to learn to keep moving forward. So we've gone through quite a lot of information about that one. It's absolutely brilliant. So I want to go on to the next thing, which is your international motivational speaker.
Yes.
Now,
Well,
I've heard. Go on.
If I could just, so on the international speaker, and what I talk about when I'm doing international speaking as well, is that story. They were saying no, 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 no. And I wasn't speaking to their listening. So as an international speaker, I need to speak to your listening. And so Maxine knows she's got time, and she's trying to get through all of my accolades, which is fabulous. So I need to speak to your listening and acknowledge that, and say in that story, I was trying to convince them, and that wasn't their listening. The fact that I can do it, the fact that I wanted to do it, that wasn't their listening. Safety wasn't even their listening. Their listening was that making a difference for children with disabilities. And so I needed to say, this is for children with disabilities, and you've got all these men in suits. Why not have a person with a disability who was at your organization? And it wasn't until I inspired that conversation, speaking to their listening, not my listening, their listening, did they say, okay, will you talk to the drop zone team? They didn't say yes, but they said, well, talk to the drop zone team. And when I talked to the drop zone team, now I talk safety. Now they don't care that we're fundraising for children with disabilities. They cared that I could safely do it. And that's when I talked about Outward Bound and Himalayas. And so in business, sometimes we're trying to raise funds, and we're trying to make a difference or make a sale. And sometimes we're all about me, and what I can do. But the reality is we need to speak to their listening. What is it that they need? When I tried to get Magnus to...
Oh, she's gone again.
Am I back? Am I
she's
back?
back again. She's back again.
I'm back again. People are telephoning me, cheeky pums. Someone called me. When I wanted to go sailing with Magnus and speaking to their listening, and as an international motivational speaker speaking to their listening, Magnus is this Olympic gold athlete. He's this blonde Viking whose pipes are massive, huge. And I tell you, those 27 men on that sailing line wasn't bad for my dating life. What a better world to surround yourself with.
Yeah, Magnus, big muscly men.
Super strong man, right? Big Viking, like almost 7 feet tall, blonde, muscular, handsome. And he only trains gold Olympians, mostly men, 99%. I don't know if he'd ever trained a woman Olympian. And here I am, 4-way amputee, 82 pounds, nothing, no experience in high performance. And I want him to train me. And he wouldn't give me the time of day. What he needed was his boats washed. So I ended up washing his boats for 3 months.
Wow.
Before he said, come on, let's go sailing. So we need to speak to people's listening. And you want to be an international motivational speaker, not because you have a message to share. Because a lot of people say, I have a message to share. I want to be an international motivational speaker. And it isn't about me climbing Himalayas or being a World Cup sailor or breaking Uber into Canada or with all these business adventures. It isn't actually about being an honored humanitarian. Now 3 times. They just did it again, which is so amazing. You said 2 times, and now it's been 3. Thank you. And I just got #1 transformational leader by John Maxwell out of 160 countries. And I was competing against like big football player men and everything, and I was #1 global female transformation.
Oh, send us some
leader.
love and likes, will you guys? I mean, come on, send them in.
Love it.
Yeah.
But it isn't, that transformational leader award wasn't for me. It was for me making a difference for others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so international motivational speaker, how can you speak to your audience's listening? What is it you can do for your audience? And so when you're trying to send an email or have a conversation, you on my computer, there's a sticky note that my coach told me to put. And it says pain, solution, call to action. And so every conversation, every international speaking, what's the audience's pain? What's that email person that you're reaching out to's pain? What is this conversation? Maxine knew that there was things that her listeners would be able to have, like, oh, tenacity and resilience, and it's so hard, and how do I stick with it? And I'm being totally underestimated, and people don't believe I know I can do it, but people aren't listening to me, right? The kinds of pains that I've had are the kinds of pains that Maxine heard her listeners have. So she said, okay, let's do this because we've got solutions together. And so pain, solution. What's the solution you bring to people's pain? And then what's the call to action? It's not just saying, okay, speak to their listening. This is how you'll have them not underestimate you, right? Believe you can do it, even if you're falling out of the boat. Believe you can. Even if you're falling out of the boat, believe you can. That's the solution. There isn't a magic wand. Believe you can. Believe you can. And you keep saying you can do it. Speak to their listening, but then it ends with a call to action. So hire Maxine as your coach. Hire Unstoppable Tracy for your next conference or international speaking event. Write a call to action. On yourself, believe you are limitless. What is one action you will take after being with Maxine and I today where you say, okay, no more excuses. If Maxine and Tracy can do it, I can do it. No excuses. Call to action to all of you is, what's one thing I will do differently today, tonight, first thing in the morning, differently, so that my life is more unstoppable. I am that one step closer to my dream because I'm going to change this about it. I'm going to wake up at 5:30, or I'm going to make 10 more calls than I made yesterday. What's one thing you will be unstoppable about because you listened to me and Maxine? And so that's what a motivational, inspirational speaker is: pain, solution, call to action. Make a call to action at the end of your conversation, but you don't start with a call to action. You must identify that you hear their pain. And if they say, well, that's not exactly it, then you ask more questions. Oh, well, what is exactly it? What is the bigger frustration? And then wait till you hear it, and then you offer a solution. And you give people what they want.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you see the reasons why I wanted to bring this lovely lady on? Because when I spoke to her on the phone for them few hours that we were sitting there chatting and put the wells to rights and sat there drinking and everything else that we was doing, you know, she's absolutely an amazing lady. And, you know, and she doesn't let anything stop her. And she's right in everything that she's saying. You know, it's very much that if you've got something going on, something that you want in your life, you know, find out exactly what it is that you want to do, find out your why, find out how you can actually do it, and then action it. Because if you don't action it, you'll just sit there and just be a dream. It won't become a reality. It'll just be a dream. If you want to help other people, find out what their problem that they've got. You know, work on their problem, find the solution for them, and then help them overcome that solution, or let them say, right, this is what you need to do, and let them go and do it. Because if you don't go and do it, that's when nothing gets done. And if you don't get nothing done, you'll still be where you are 6 months down the line. Yeah. So it's exactly what you were saying. So, you know, this is the motivational side of you. Is the fact is, like, nothing stops you. It's very much, you get outside that boat, you get back in. Do you know what? If I fall out of that boat 25, 30 times, I don't give a monkeys, because I'm getting back in that boat. Yeah. Because I know 25 times how not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what not Einstein, but the Edison, the inventor of light. Yeah. He said, oh, I just have 119 ways not to do a light bulb, right? That's how he figured it out.
That's right.
It's a lot of people say that they don't know how. But Maxine, how do I do it? How? And you know, I had no idea how I would ski, for example, right? All the people who have paralysis or they have no legs, they go sit skiing. And I had no idea how. And I don't know how I would ski, but I knew I would ski. I knew I would figure out how. And the way you figure out how is you get on it. You get started. You go for it. And I showed up at that ski hill. I had no idea how. And I had to get off my couch. I had to get out of my car, right? I had to just go and be there. And when I got to the ski hill, my ski instructor had size 12 boots. And so what we did is we took my legs off and we put my little stumps in the men's boots backwards, and I skied in backwards men's ski boots. Right? By putting, it's so funny. And you would have no idea how. And we wouldn't, if you put that on an email, it'd be like, oh no, I'm not going there to wear backwards ski boots, right? But you had to go there. And your first step is you got to go there and show up and say, I don't know how I'm going to ski, but I know we're going to figure it out. I don't know how I'm going to swim or sail, but I'm going to figure it out. And so we went there. And when we put on those backwards ski boots, and I skied in the trees 12 times.
So your 30th time you done it?
Yes.
If you'd only tried your 11, you would have turned around and said to yourself, you failed.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's keep going on and on and on until you get there. So Susan, I've put that up there. It says, what is your first steps into speaking?
Yeah.
Stand up on that stage and start talking.
Yes. And it's okay if it's not perfect. Yeah. First step. And you reach out. And you, like, everybody's like, oh, but that's free speaking. Well, people see you speaking in those free audiences, and you get practice, and you film it, and you take photographs, and so you get photographs on a stage, and you start with your phones. But if you can, bring a camera with better high resolution. So maybe it's even your beginner footage, but later people are going to ask you for high res photos. So start collecting some high res photos. So even if your little stage was crap, you've at least got a high-res photo of you on a stage looking powerful and amazing. And you record wherever you can, even if it's a 2-minute clip and a 5-minute, record 20 minutes, and you take the 2 best minutes of it. And you start collecting some clips for a sizzle reel. And every time you practice that story, and don't do 10 stories 10 times, do 1 story 10 times.
Perfect.
And and reach out. And speak out. And, in Toronto, we have something called Motivation Monday. And if you don't have a Motivation Monday place where they invite speakers to share their story for free, or a Toastmasters or something like that, then you create the club. You're like, oh, there's nowhere like that. Well, now, Susan, you are going to do Mo Mondays on Mondays. And you invite 10 other speakers that are learning to speak. And Susan and 9 more people come do a Motivation Monday, and the 10 of you share your personal story, and you got a 10-minute hard fast stop. And if you don't finish, you learned how bad it is to not finish your speech, but you stop at 10 minutes, and you invite your friends and your family who love you anyway, and you communicate that the MC says, these are 10 people sharing their personal story, and we're here to be nothing but loving, supportive. Please give them a round of applause and be supportive. And you practice on Mo Mondays. And I know a man that would love to bring Mo Monday to where you live. And so he can give you the Mo Monday formula and set you up for success with the ad and the formula and the words. You can purchase all that from him. And then you have speed of implementation. And it costs you money up front, but it's going to make you money at the end. And you get a place to practice. And so get practice. And if you have nowhere to practice, create an opportunity to practice. And if you have no way to create an opportunity to practice, find somebody who wants to create an opportunity to practice and inspire somebody else to create the opportunity, and you attend their event, right? But Maxine has a ton of supportive opportunities to grow and practice speakers and give you coaching as you go and grow. But as speakers, it's not about you, the speaker. What is going on with your audience? You can practice 100 times your 10-minute speech, but if somebody falls down in the audience while you're on that stage, you can't ignore that, right? You got to respond to what's going on in the audience. I'm so glad, Susan. I'm very excited to hear that. And so you leverage from someone who's done it before you, or like this Michelle Naray with this Mo Monday, or you reach out to Maxine to coach you and groom you and get you ready, and she has events that she can tap you into. She has a huge circle of people. She's got a lot of resources that Maxine can connect you to for practice opportunities, for sure. And then you follow Tracy's journey. What is Tracy doing? And copy me. Just do what I'm doing.
And that's the thing. It's very much like with the broadcasting. Oh, she's not speaking. I can see your mouth going, but nothing was coming out. Yeah, so it's very much so. That's the reason why we do the broadcasting, because when you look at some of the broadcasts, you've got people there that are from very beginning that don't even know how to go Facebook Live, to people that have been doing it for years. And this is your training ground. This is your training ground to get you used to what you've done. If you go back on my first video, it was 2 minutes long. It's nothing like it is now. And it's very, yeah. And it's very much, you look at that and you look back and you go, wow, how much have I grown? And I know for a fact Susan, who's in Oregon, is in the US, is that when you look back from her first one to what she is now, it's a completely different story, you know. And it's all about getting out there and keep going ahead and keep trying no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've shared a stage with quite a few people, haven't you? I mean, I've got down here Jane Fonda, John Travolta, Mel Gibson, Mark Wahlberg, the rest of the population of celebrities.
I know. Dr. Phil in November, and Michael Douglas, and Brooke Shields, just a couple months ago. It's incredible. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah. And I mean, how did that make you feel? The fact is, you got to speak on stage with them.
Yeah. So can I tell you, in January 2017, I've been a speaker for 30 years, but January 2017, I decided I wanted to blow up big. I wanted this to pay my rent. I wanted this to pay my mortgage. I wanted this to pay my mother's mortgage and my sister's mortgage too.
Yeah.
I wanted this to blow up and make a difference to the close people in my lives, and in an abundant philanthropic way to many, many other people, and got on board with World Peace 2035. And I decided January 2017 I wanted to do that. And so what did that look like? And so it was looking to others, like what's Tony Robbins doing? What's JT Fox doing? What's people like in Maxine's world doing, right? What are the big things that they're doing? And the really big speakers, they've written a book, and it's a bestseller. And the really big speakers have done a TEDx, and the really big speakers had some really big audiences. And so, okay, February 1st, I started writing a book, and I announced that I was going to. And I started applying to TEDx over and over and over and over and over and over and over for a TEDx, and practicing until I got there. And then I had this dream, I'm going to make $1,000 on a stage. That was what I decided in January 2017. In October of 2017, 9 months later, I made $10,000, and I was on stage with Jane Fonda. And so sometimes we put a seed in our head and we think big, and we don't know what we don't know. So we put out a big vision, a big goal that feels big. $1,000 for a stage event felt like a big goal. And 9 months later, I made $10,000, and I shared a stage with Jane Fonda, and I was in Russia. Like, Russia hired me, full expenses, companion, and a stage. And I didn't dream that big. Imagine if I dreamed that big in January. So you make a goal and you do whatever it takes to make it happen. And so I had no idea that it would be with Jane Fonda, and I didn't make $10,000 that event, but who cares? I was with Jane Fonda, and that event was a free event. That event was for future possibilities for children. And a man named Stuart Knight was doing very well, very successful. And what does he do to be successful? And I reached out to him, and he had a top 10 event, and I was his top 10 athlete. And it was for future possibilities for children, and I made no money. And his top 10 actor ended up being Jane Fonda. And so I ended up top 10 athlete. She was top 10 actor. We had a top 10 musician. We had a top 10 politician. We had a top 10 radio star. So I was on stage with 10 top 10 people. And this was Stuart Knight's stage. And I didn't even have to pay to be on the stage with Jane Fonda, which is a blessing, because sometimes that's another way to do it, is pay to positively co-brand with some people that are successful on a stage, and it looks good, positive co-branding. But I supported Stuart with future possibilities for children. And then the world aligned, the stars aligned, God aligned me, whatever you believe in, Allah, what do you believe in, aligned me, and I got to be on a stage with Jane Fonda. And I got to make a difference for a whole bunch of people in that audience. And if I can be so cheeky as to say, I got the standing ovation. Jane Fonda did it. Poor Jane Fonda. She didn't get a standing ovation. I got a standing ovation, and Jane Fonda did it. And I'm like, oh my God, none of the 10 people got a standing ovation except for me.
That's good. That's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Janet, for your lovely words. I'm gonna tell Janet, who spelled Tracy with an E, that I'm no hands, no legs, and no E in Tracy. I have no extra parts. I'm Tracy. I would love someone to make a motivational film. Look at that. See, I talked to Maxine for fun, and now someone might make a film for me.
See,
Thanks
how
to
amazing would that be? How would that be, eh?
It'd be incredible, Maxine.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so it's you know, for what you've been talking about there, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, you'll probably get some people that say to you, is like they want their speaking career, they want to move forward.
Yeah.
And even though they want to move forward, they can sit there and say, you know what, I really actually want to earn money. You know, and it took you 9 months to go from you doing it for free, but obviously you then getting paid for it. However, some people look at that, yeah, but you did it for like so many years beforehand before you even monetized it. What would you say? It's probably a bit of a hard one, but what would you say the average that you'd need to be getting yourself out there before you can actually monetize yourself public speaking?
Oh, I think it's really up. I think every single one of you, and I'm open to Maxine coaching because she's coaching a lot of people online. So I haven't talked to Maxine about this answer, but I think
So you can say what you want.
If you want to be a millionaire, if you do, the only thing stopping you from being a millionaire is yourself, is you, right? And so if you want to be monetizing speaking in 9 months, the only thing stopping you from that is you. So you're practicing 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. You know, with my book, what I did February 1st, and it wasn't this cover, but I put a cover up. I took this picture. Actually, this hand up in the air was from a magazine cover called Thrive. And they paid for the photographer to give this to me. So I'm this arm in the air pose. And then we put it on, we went to canva.ca, which is free, or canva.com, it's free. And I put my picture on top of some mountains. And I said Unstoppable Tracy was the first name because I made the book about me, but it's not about me, it's about you. And I learned that. And I did like 35 book covers. But January 27th, I said, I want to do this. February 1st, I had learned that everybody that was doing it successfully had all written a bestseller book. So I need to write a bestseller book. And if I want to do that by November, then I got to have a bestseller book by November. So you backtrack. What does it take from November? So what did I need to do? Well, I'd have to have the book written at least 3-4 months, maybe 6 months before November. So that meant I had from January 27th till about April to write a book. And so I had to be day and night all the time until I got, thank you, Janet, until I got my book written. And February 1st, I made myself accountable. And I put the cover of the book on, and I said, world, what do you think about me writing a book? And I had 700 Facebook friends. And my 700 Facebook friends shared my book cover, my fake book cover, and said, you got to buy this book. And I was just testing the waters. I wasn't committing to it. And so now I went from 700 friends to 5,000 friends in less than a month. And all of them wanted to buy my book. I pre-sold a book that I hadn't even really started to write. And I'd sold 3,000 books before I'd written the book. And so you got to be sure that I had a book ready for those 3,000 people in November. And even my publisher, who is amazing and helped me expedite the process. So I had to spend money to get it out that quick, right? And anything's possible. But the way I made it happen that fast was I took my mortgage money and I invested it in people that could help me expedite writing the book and turning it into a bestseller faster. And so sometimes you spend money to make money, right? And by having a bestseller in November, all of that social activity made Stuart Knight willing to put me on stage. I'd been an athlete all my life. I'd done all the mountains and the skiing and the sailing. I'd done that before, but he never noticed me. But when I put the book online and it went crazy, share, and everybody wants to buy the book, I look like I'm somebody. So now I got this book that's like bestseller with my publisher because I pre-sold so many books before it was printed. Well, now I got a bestseller book. I must be worth being on the top 10 stage. But what really, the stories I told was about my sailing and my skiing and my swimming and those kinds of things, right? And so, but the book, I had to put the book on Facebook, and Facebook had to share it with my 700 friends, and then it got bigger and busier. And so you can do it in 9 months, but you got to look at what are the more successful people doing. And in the speaking example, it's a book, it's a TEDx, and it's bestseller, and it's big 3,000 people stage. What do you got to do to get yourself in an audience with that number? Who's doing an event like that maybe you can buy stage time to if you don't have the credibility yet? So how can you build your credibility to get there?
Oh, I think I know sort of somebody that might actually be doing something like that.
I
And
wonder.
yeah, I'm thinking it might be like the Empowerment Weekend at London.
That's where you build your credibility.
Absolutely. So we're going to go on to the next thing because we're going to be short of time because Be Live only lets you run for 2 hours, and I'm looking at the time. We've got like 25 minutes before we get. So we're going to go on pretty quickly. So Gold Coast. Now I saw this little video, and it brought me to tears because I thought it was so amazing that when you actually did it. Gotta let you eat your biscuit first. And it was about the school and about the shoelaces, and I was like, oh my god, oh. That was just so beautiful. Would you like to share that with these people? Because
Yes.
it was so lovely, and it makes you think exactly. Wow, that was the first thing I thought was wow, and then after that it was like, you put your mind to it, you can do anything.
Yes.
You know, absolutely.
Yes.
So yeah, share it with these people because it's powerful, really powerful.
Thank you. It's a gold cast, not gold, although it
Oh,
felt
gold
like
cast.
gold,
Sorry.
but
Oh yeah, it's
that's
gold, isn't
okay,
it?
no
GRAL.
problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Goal, like you set a goal and you go for it.
That's it.
Goal cast, CAST, goal cast. And if you go to Unstoppable Tracy with no E, you're going to find this video she's talking about. And I'm going to share with you now the story. But I hope that you go to Unstoppable Tracy and you find the Gold Cast video and share, because it would be so amazing to make a difference. The video is called No One Left Behind. And because I didn't have arms and legs, when I went to school, early 70s, or late 70s. I gotta lie about my age. Late 70s. When I went to school in the 70s, they didn't have personal support workers and educational assistants. And so when they saw me without my arms and my legs, kind of like that 25-story building that I rappelled down last month, when they saw with no arms and legs, they're like, how is she going to do that? And so they very kindly, but had to say to my mom, I'm sorry, Tracy can't go to this school. And I, like, all summer, I'm 5-6 years old in Canada is when we go to kindergarten, the first time we go to school, 5-6 years old. And all summer they said, you're going to school, you're going to school, you're going. And then they tell me, you can't go. And my heart just like, boom, I can feel it talking to you in my stomach, remembering those words in my ear. And the principal, my mom, she could have been all Mama Bear, right? But she wasn't Mama Bear. My mom, she surprised me and she said, very friendly. And she used that lesson of speak to their listening. And my mom says, how come? Like friendly, how come? He's like, well, there's one teacher. And there's 30 children. And so Tracy's got to be able to tie her shoelaces, and she's got to be able to go to the bathroom by herself. And there's only one teacher. She won't be able to help Tracy. 30 kids. So you can almost understand where he's coming from, right? Like, how is she going to manage? So he wasn't a mean guy. He couldn't be stuck. He wanted to set me up for success and the teacher up for success. So what my mom did is she counter offered. And she said, how about you try Tracy just for 1 week. And if it doesn't work out, no problem. We'll go to another school. But can we just try for 1 week? And so my mom, like, she counter-offered, and when somebody says no to you, you counter-offer. My mom taught me that no, N-O, just means they don't know, K-N-O-W. So she counter-offered, and she spoke to his listening. She says, you won't be stuck with her, right? Can we just try? And if it doesn't work, no problem. And he was worried about being stuck with me and not being able to help me. So she took the sting out. She counter-offered, can we just try for a week? So she gets on her knees and she grabs my shoulders. I can feel her fingers in my arms now, almost speaking to you. And she says, Tracy, it's really important that you and everybody's together. No one left behind. I don't know why my mom is so intense. So I just say, okay, Mom. The principal heard the whole thing. So the principal runs outside at recess time, fast forward to recess time, to the school break time, to find me outside. I never made it outside. The principal's heart just dropped. And he couldn't imagine facing my mom and telling her that I can't stay at the school. So he goes inside to find out from my teacher how come. And he asked my teacher, couldn't Tracy tie her shoelaces? And my teacher's all confused. Tracy was the first one with her shoelaces tied. Well, then how come Tracy wasn't outside? And she says, oh, well, her little friend couldn't tie her shoelaces. So Tracy gave her a hand. It turns out none of those 30 kids could tie their shoelaces. So by the time I tied 30 shoelaces, because my mom said no one left behind, the recess bell had gone off. And so this is what happens. I didn't want to be the shoelace leader. I just wanted to get out and play at that school. And many of us, we feel underestimated. Like, oh, I don't have an MBA. I don't have a cool Paralympic climbing Himalayas World Cup sailing story. I'm a female in a man's world. I have illness. I'm recovering from illness. I've had horrific things happen. Worst thing in the world is a good excuse. The only thing with a good excuse is that it limits you. It's a bit of tough love. But no excuses, no limits. Thank you, Janet. So, shoelace leader, how lucky am I? So if you feel like you don't belong, no, you don't know why and you don't know how, but we are, each and every single one of us belong. Each and every one of us are valuable contributors in ways that we don't know yet. You don't know until you jump into the game, because you are a valuable contributor, and you just got to get in that room. Whether you have experience or not, you get in that room and you go for it, and you will see where your niche is and where you can make a difference, where you can be a valuable contributor, and where you can monetize so that you can become a philanthropist and make a difference for others.
I just
I'll
don't
leave
need
it
to.
to Maxine to
No, I'm just
unpack.
saying. I can just still see you talking, but obviously it's lagging a little bit. So, I can just sit and listen to you for hours because it's very much that everything you say. I mean, when we spoke previously and we was talking for hours on end, we are so alike in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, and we didn't realize how much until we sat there like on the sofa, just chatting, and then we video called, and then we were chatting longer, and
Yeah.
it just went on, but it was great. And the thing is, it's like you make so much sense to me because how you think is how I think. And it's like so many people find it hard that if they've got, oh, I can't do this because there's something wrong, or I can't do this because I haven't got the money, or I can't do this because of this. It's always I can't, I can't, I can't. And I'm very much that, I can do this because I'm me and I'm amazing and I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And you've got to believe in yourself that you are that amazing and you're amazing and everybody else that's on it is absolutely amazing. And this is the reason why I just sit here quietly, because I don't need to put anything in because she's just great.
Aww. Aww.
And I do love that little story, and exactly what Jenny said. It touched me so much. It was so amazing that the fact is your mum turned around and said, "Do not leave anybody behind," because it was her way of saying, "I know how good you are. I know exactly you can do this, but I need you to believe that you can do this too." And
Yeah.
that's why she was getting you to tie them shoelaces. Not the fact is that she wanted to prove to them that she could do this and she can do just as good as anyone else, if not better.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think she wanted me not to be left behind.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like no one left behind, including you, right? Like
Yeah.
she was like telling me, don't leave yourself behind.
Yeah. She was telling you just got to believe in yourself that you can do this. And this
Yeah.
is where you get your unstoppableness from. It's from your mother, because she's
She
a very
never
strong and very
ever
loving
thought I
lady.
would tie 30 shoelaces, right?
No.
She was dumbfounded
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But
And
I can imagine. Yeah, go on.
you can get that free story. You can watch it on Goldcast, the 3
Mhm.
minute, and you would help me tremendously if you share it with people. It's only 3 minutes, and it has little kids and more pictures, me as a child and me with my mom. So if you like that story and you want to see my mom, find the video. But you can also get a free copy of my book, unstoppableyoubook.ca for Canada. And chapter 2 is more of that story and that context. And it asks you questions to make you unstoppable.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's great that you wrote a story, because it's like, even if people do miss this, I mean, I'd love loads of people to see this and go on the replay and everything else. But, if anybody does miss it, they can get your book and they can read about it, and they can read about you and, how unstoppable you are, and the things that you've done are absolutely amazing. And, and you don't just do it for yourself, you do it for other people to say, look, I can do this, so can you.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And I know that, and I know you as a person, and that's, you're so giving and you're so loving and you help anybody and everybody.
Which is that I
And
messed you up at the beginning of this podcast because I helped somebody. And I'm like, okay, but I have to be on at 3. I can help you, but I got to be on at 3. And they're like, oh, use my computer. And then I didn't have a camera.
that's fine. We got over it. I called Brad in and everything else. I hadn't heard from you for a couple of hours. I was like, is she going to be on? Let's see how it goes. And yeah, so it was fine. It was fine. We got there. It was all good. We had
made
each
it
other's
work.
back. Exactly. So a little birdie told me that you was in RoboCop.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. Can you believe it? That funny? I'm like 3 seconds. Michael Keaton is walking through a phys ed room, and he goes into the room where the man with a power hand is playing guitar. And I swear we filmed for 7 hours, and he walks through the room, and I walk past the door where he walks in. And for 7 hours, he walked through the room and I walked past him, and he goes in the door. There were no lines or nothing. But if you go to Unstoppable Tracy on YouTube, on my channel, on playlist, I have saved that video, and I'm in a green t-shirt. My hair's like this. I have my hair in an up bobble thing, and I'm in a green t-shirt and in capris and 3/4 pants, but you can't really see me. But I'm crossing the doorway, and Michael Keaton goes through, and I'm the girl in a green t-shirt. And so on my Unstoppable Tracy YouTube channel, one of the videos I saved in my playlist is the RoboCop movie clip, and you can watch it.
See? How amazing is that? So I'm going to ask you one more question before obviously I have to close everything down, because we're getting close to time before we get cut off, and I'd rather say goodbye to everyone rather than just go gone. Where does your courage come from?
Where does my courage come from?
Yeah, because you're adventurous, you're passionate, you're ambitious, you're positive, you overcome any barrier that's put in front of you, and that's got to come from somewhere. So where does it come from?
A lot of people think that I do things without fear, right? That I wasn't afraid in front of that Jane Fonda or beside her, or that I wasn't afraid skiing in those backwards boots because I did it. You mustn't have been afraid because you went ahead and did it, right? And or falling out of the boat, that I wasn't afraid because I got back in. I couldn't be afraid because I got back in. But the reality is, and the 25-story building, like, I spent all this time convincing them to let me rappel. And then I got to the top of it and I was petrified. I'm like, what have I talked myself into? And so I was rappelling into with fear. And so, everyone, thank you for the lovely words about the book. So courage isn't without fear. Courage is doing it in spite of fear. You exceed uncertainty. You're feeling uncertain. I'm falling out of a boat. You feel uncertain, but you exceed uncertainty. And you embrace possibility, even though you don't know how. You go up, you show up, and you're petrified. You don't know why. You might even be bawling. Oh my God, what have I got myself into? I remember crying before going to Nepal. Holy cow, how am I supposed to climb the Himalayas? And bawling my eyes out and knowing I'm going to be there, and in some ways I was feeling all alone. Isn't alone, right? Who you surround yourself with is who you become. When I was rappelling, there's someone on my safety line. There's someone on my rappel line. That's Maxine. Maxine is on my safety line. And she sets me up for success so that I can be independent on this conversation. But Maxine had my safety line. Maxine got me here. Who you surround yourself with is who you become, right? And so where does your courage come from? I had a great mom, right? And then in kindergarten, I now have 30 people who are my ally because I tied their shoelace. And so when I went in other grades, even though some moved away, I always had children that were with me from 5 years old till grade 6, right? I didn't really get teased until grade 7 because I always surrounded myself with good people. And in business, who do you surround yourself with? Negative Nellies? Negative naysayers? Or do you surround yourself with positive, you can do it people? Who do you let in your ear? Who do you listen to? And so where's your courage come from? Is sailing. I got back in the boat, but some sailing instructors said I could come back. Right? And when I did skiing, I had that ski instructor with the backwards boots, Ian. And when I did sailing, I had Magnus. It might have taken me 3 months of washing his boats, but I had Magnus, magnificent Magnus, that got me to World Cup regattas. And so who you surround yourself with is who you become. Where does your courage come from? Well, courage isn't without fear. I have to dispel the myth. Courage is in spite of fear. I was petrified. I was even nervous coming on with magnificent Maxine. I've seen her talk. I know she's fabulous. So even then I was nervous. So you believe you can do it, and you may have fear, but you exceed uncertainty and you do it anyway. And even if you don't know how, you get started because you know you can do it and that you know you can figure it out. And who you surround yourself with is how you earn independence. You surround yourself with people that are doing it, and positive people, and that are their lifelines, that are going to hold you accountable and make it happen.
Exactly. That is exactly that. And the thing is, it's very much, and thank you for that, Tracy. It's absolutely amazing. And I just think, you are amazing, and in so many different ways. And people just, they look down on themselves so much, and they're so negative in what they do and what they say to themselves. And they don't believe in themselves. And, I just want to get out there and say, guys, just do it. At the end of the day, it's like the only thing that holds you back is you. And exactly what Tracy was saying.
Yeah.
And I'll answer Brad's question. And from earlier, and I didn't answer it because obviously you came in and I got out of it, but I will answer that question.
Yes.
I will. My biggest fear was sitting in front of a camera.
Ah, no way.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Yeah, exactly. And even though every time that I got in front of that camera, because I've always been a photographer, I sat behind the camera.
Yeah.
But every time I sat in front of that camera, I just froze. You know, the first time I actually did my Facebook Live, I recorded it to start with and then put it out there because I'd done it 6 or 7 times. I chickened out 6 or 7 times. And I sat in the middle of a field thinking, what if I get this wrong? If I'm in the middle of the field, no one can see me.
Yeah.
You know, but I went on live and I was sitting there and I felt really flushed and I felt really embarrassed and I didn't know what to say and I didn't know if the wind was well, you know, and there's so many things that go around in your head. But I knew I needed to do it anyway. And when you said about making people accountable for you, it's like Brad was like, Max, you've got to do broadcasting. And I'm like, but I don't sit in front of the camera. And he's like, but you got to do broadcasting. You know, it's one thing that I want you to start doing. And this is the thing, what happens, the people around you not just make you accountable, but the fact is they push you and stretch you out of your comfort zone to stretch you to the limit to make sure you get there. Because if you don't get stretched, you'll never learn.
No.
And if you don't learn, you'll stay where you are. Yeah. So, you know, and it is absolutely amazing. So that's my last question to you, Tracy, because I could talk to you all night. And I suppose that these people here could actually talk to you all night as well. And, you know, and
thank you for hanging
I just think it's brilliant. I know. But we've got like 4 or 5 minutes left. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for being here. I just want to say to all the ladies and gentlemen out there, you know, Tracy is an amazing lady. She's one of many people out there that actually, you know, stand up on that stage, do motivational speaking and get themselves out there to give you the information that you need. Sometimes it's not what you want because, you know, sometimes we want things, we don't always get them, but it will be the things that you need. Yes. And you will. Yeah, and you will move forward and you will make sure that you take the action, but you've got to be there. You've got to take the action to buy your ticket, to get yourself to that event. No excuses. We're still tracing. No excuses.
Nope.
No, let's make sure you're at that event. If you're washing your hair or you've got someone that's you're gonna have your hair cut or you're going to a spa, we don't care. We don't care. That's the excuse. You know, you need to move your business forward. You want to go somewhere, you want to go far. So let's do this. Let's make sure you get there because you know what? People like Tracy, you could be the next Tracy.
Yes, you are the next Tracy. You already are.
Yeah, you just got to get yourself out there and take that action. So what I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, is go to yesyoucaninspiredtoachieve.com for our website. And then you can also go to yesyoucaninspiredtoachieve.london. Is then you can find out about the Empowerment Weekend. We've got over 45 different speakers that are going to be readily available for you for the whole weekend that you can listen to and get lots of golden nuggets from. Now, also on top of that as well, I've actually put this inside the comments as well, so it's in there. But nice. You can also click that link as well, which is also inside the comments as well. You can actually get your ticket. And at the moment, up to the 20th of this month, so you've got 3 days to actually get your ticket in because you get it at half price. So tickets are starting from £24.50. And you can get your standard ticket and you can go right up to VIP where you can actually go and meet all the VIPs out the back and you can actually get to know them and talk to them. And, you know, and that's the most amazing thing is getting those nuggets from people when they're not on stage too.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Are they allowed photographs too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's huge. Positively co-brand with those people.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you imagine that, you know, you spend the money to be a VIP, not only do you get to see them on stage and get all the golden nuggets, you get to go out the back, you get to have pictures taken with them, you can buy their books and get it signed. There's so many things that you can do just by being there, and that's half price. It's only £197. And for all the extras that you get with it, there is so much more that you get. You know, it's absolutely amazing. So you need to get yourself there. You need to make sure that you click that link there and get yourself a ticket.
That's a $7,500 event.
Yeah.
So roughly £4,000 or euro.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. Huge. $197 is a giveaway.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, especially for all the people. I mean, that works out. If you worked it all out, 45 to 50 speakers that you've got there, and you're paying £24.50 over a weekend, it's not even £1 each.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even £1 each. So it is very much that, you know, for what you're looking at, you would never ever in your lifetime ever get a speaker on stage or even literally standing in front of you for half an hour for less than £1.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is your time. This is the time for you to go do what you need to do and move yourself forward. This is your time for you. This year is going to be your year. Tracy, last minute before we've got to go, my love, put it out there to the guys and girls exactly what your last words are going to be.
No, if I can do it for amputee, you can do it. No excuses. Live the limitless secret. Please, and please go to unstoppableyoubook.ca to get the free download. Or follow our pages, like Maxine's page, like Inspired to Achieve, follow her links, and also find Unstoppable Tracy so that we can forevermore stay connected.
Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. And Tracy, I've loved having you on, and I'm sure we'll be speaking a lot more. And I'm sure I'm going to try and get over to Canada to come and see you on your show and everything else. So that'd be absolutely amazing.
We're going to have her on my TV show, Unstoppable You.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to see if you can get yourself over there. No excuses. Got to get over there.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I'm coming to Europe April and May.
Yay.
Maybe we'll see you in April and May.
Yeah, absolutely. So how amazing would that be?
For events.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you go to Unstoppable Tracy. She's on Facebook. You know, follow her. She's absolutely amazing. As you can tell, over the last hour and a half, she's been on here. I know my thing is only 40 minutes to an hour, but I wanted you to see the full her. Because at the end of the day, she's lovely. So you now know how lovely she is because you've seen her yourself. And I want to say thank you very much for all listening. Remember, you got the Empowerment Weekend. Remember, come and get your tickets. And I will see you tomorrow with all the next lot of speakers, which are going to be all the second row. So it's going to be amazing. So I'll see you all around about 6:30. Speak to you then. Take care, guys.
Bye, Maxine.
Bye.
Adore you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.